When it comes to sequencing and inputting your music into Cubasis, we have quite a few options and you can be really creative depending on your workflow. The first option that you have when you want to input music into Cubasis is by using the multi-touch virtual keyboard. So I can tap on this icon here, keys, and the virtual keyboard appears. Now, obviously, I can resize this. I can start playing straight away. And I can trigger chords, of course. I can move this across so I can show the octave range that I want. And I can also select how many keys I'm going to have visible at any given time. Of course, this is really useful because depending on your hand size, you might want wider keys. For example, you might want like super wide keys. For me, this is great. And of course, right here, we also have a mod wheel and we also have a pitch pencil. And also sustain. So if you want to sustain some chords, some notes, you can do this straight on the virtual keyboard. It goes without saying that this is great because that means that you can start creating music anywhere. You can start sequencing anywhere you are, even without a MIDI keyboard. Speaking of MIDI keyboards, I have one right here, and I will show you now that you can actually control your instruments inside Cubasis, all the virtual instruments, using a MIDI keyboard. So what I've done here is I've connected my Reface DX via USB to my iPad, and I can use this as a MIDI controller to control my microlog here. So let's play some notes. Now, another very cool way that you can sequence in Cubasis, especially if you are laying down beats, if you're working with drums, is by using the pads. And I'm going to show you this right now. I have a Classic Machines 6 instance here, and this is one of the amazing instruments that we have available for Cubasis. And as you can see, I can trigger it here. But if I'm planning to create some cool drum parts, maybe I can just bring up my pads. And here they are. And these are tailored for beats programming for drums. So I have my kick drum here. They're nicely labeled as well. And there's another cool feature here. You can tap on repeat here, and here you have different repetition values. For example, I can go to my hi-hat and activate an 8th note repetition. So this is really cool because you can start creating really complex rhythms and patterns, and the pads are really great for this. Now, the pads can also be used for triggering pitches and notes, okay? Let me show you how you do this. Let's go back to my pad here, and let's say I want to bring up my keys. And as you can see, I can go here and trigger my chords. But let me show you another way that you can use the pads. If I tap here, keys, pads, now I have these beautiful chord pads, and these can actually trigger entire chords. Let me show you. So as you can see, I can trigger full chords effortlessly just by tapping one of these pads. And the great thing is they're completely customizable. So I can go hit edit here and I can change any one of these chords. Let's go to this one here, which is an E minor, and maybe this doesn't work with my track. Maybe I want to make it a G minor. So I can just hit G here and it turns into a G minor. I can also change it and make it, let's say, a G minor 7th. I can select the octave and also the inversions. Then let's say you want to copy this to another instrument. You can just simply copy and paste these chord progressions to another instrument. So as you can see, I can lay down chord progressions super easily. And especially if you're not a keyboard player, you will really appreciate this because you can get into the creative process and start lay down your beats, lay down your chord progressions without worrying how you can play them on a keyboard. And I actually have some more stuff to show you when it comes to chords. When we go back to the virtual keyboard here, I can actually activate the chord buttons by clicking on this icon here. And this is another way to trigger chords. For example, if I go here, I can tap on each one of these buttons and trigger a full chord. Now, here's the clever bit. If I go higher with my octaves here on my virtual keyboard, I can actually trigger the chords here. So I can trigger the chords and play a melody on the virtual keyboard at the same time, which is really cool, especially if you're on the road and you want to lay down a song, you have an idea, you want to lay down some chords, play some melodies at the same time. You can do all these without any external gear, which is fantastic. And it goes without saying that these chords are also editable. For example, if I go to my first chord here and hit the edit button here, I can just edit this chord. Maybe I want to remove this note, or maybe I want to have this kind of chord. So now I can try it. And then when I'm happy, I just tap on edit again and I'm good to go. So as you can see, depending on your own personal workflow, the way that you like to be creative and lay down your music, Cubasis has a way to let you do this effortlessly. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.